Anybody there?
All right. Well, I want to welcome you guys to yet another episode of the Dad Hat Chronicles. Obviously, my name is Ed, and today with me, I have the pleasure to talk with Hardy the Hat Guy. What's going on, my man?
I am good, brother. I tell you what, I heard about this show a while back. I've listened to every single one of them, and I've been collecting my whole life. So I'm like, a guy's got a show just on collecting. I'm in. I love it.
Right. I mean, what's not to love about talking to other people about their collections, right?
Oh yeah, and I've listened to every one of them. I mean, of course, you had Eric the Peanut Guy on. I mean, who doesn't love that guy?
Yeah, right.
And every
the guy's
single
so
one of them.
Infectious, right? Like, I mean, his attitude, it really is infectious.
He is, absolutely. And just an all around, I've never met the guy personally, but I feel like I know him, and he's just an all around great human being. And everybody that you've talked to on the show, I'm like, man, I got so much in common with these guys.
Yeah. And that's what it is. It's just, we all have something in common. And finally, and that was my whole, thought behind, doing this podcast, was to highlight that, because there's so many people across the US that they're collectors, and everybody has their own story. Right.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And the story of how they got started, and what it means to them, and one thing, and listen to all of the episodes, everybody has one thing in common is, they have the collections that they, the things, whatever it is they collect, but it's the people that they meet along the way, and the people they encounter with all their collections. I mean, and I'm the same way. That's the great part about it. There's somewhere out there, there's a community of people just as weird as us, just as weird as me. That
right, exactly. That's so true. And that's the fun part, right? Because I'm sure that you can pick one hat that you've collected, and you have a story for that hat, the person that you met, and what happened that day, that interaction. So that's the beauty about everything that we do as collectors, right?
Well, and I always say it's a hat and a handshake. I think my favorite collection I've been collecting my whole life something, and I think my favorite collection is handshakes. And now, because most of it, and we'll probably talk about this, but most of my specialty collections are tied to a handshake.
That's awesome.
Which has led to a lot of selfies, and that's another story.
That you're collecting a lot of photos.
Yeah.
Well, let's begin by the one question that I ask everybody. Let's go back to your childhood. What was that moment that got you started? What made you become a fan of sports all around?
Well, that also kind of leads into, one of my big specialty collections are amateur baseball hats from teams in Indiana.
Yep.
So to kind of tell that story, how I got started, I got to kind of tell the story of why I'm such a big fan of amateur baseball, specifically high school. I grew up, I'm your neighbor to the west here in Indiana, right on the Illinois line in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by, cornfields and woods. So there wasn't any nearby Major League Baseball team, or even minor league team for that matter. But growing up, like every other kid, I had, a closet full of baseball cards, and I knew all the stats, everybody, just from baseball cards. And my grandma, all your guests have told stories about the different family members who have, got them into it. One of the big ones for me was actually my grandma. My mom's mom was a baseball collector,
really,
baseball card collector from a long time ago. And my mom, I always give her a hard time about it, because she had Mickey Mantles, Yogi Bears, she had all those cards.
What?
And they lost them. But so my grandma was a big baseball fan her whole life, and she would cut the, you'd get the line card in the newspaper every day. Up, and she would cut them out and give them to me every day. So I knew the cards, and, with the cards and the newspaper articles and everything like that, I knew everything about every player, but I'd never seen them, with 2 channels on the, the rabbit ears on the TV. and definitely no ESPN growing up in the early 70s.
Right.
I didn't see any games. But my brothers were, I have 2 older brothers and 1 younger sister. We always joke that our sister was the best athlete of all of us, but yeah, they played baseball. So I was a big fan of them. I could tell you the stats of, my oldest brother was 6 years older than me. And I could tell you the stats of every player from their little league all the way up to graduating high school.
No way.
Yeah. So I became just this big fan of, high school baseball was the only game in town. That was the baseball I got to see. So I could tell you everything about high school baseball. And, so the collections came, and that's kind of where that grew from. And I'm still to this day, I jokingly call myself the biggest cheerleader of amateur high school baseball in Indiana. That there is.
That's awesome, though. I mean, and again, we go back to, that's what we, there's always a story as to why we started collecting, right? Yeah. And you didn't have a major league team, but you had baseball around you, right? You have, high school, and I'm sure that's, you don't regret any of that, because I mean, it got you to where you're loving, baseball even more.
Yep. And, still to this day, the people listening to your show, you could still go to a local high school game and get a great hot dog and a Coke.
That's right.
There's one of the answers to your questions.
I was taking a mental note too.
For a high school game for $5, and you're supporting local,
Mm-hmm.
But going back even further, what really exploded it was, I remember I played for this is kind of an interesting story. I played for a little league team growing up, and the name of the little league team was Push, like shove. Mm-hmm. It was from an old team long time ago in Indiana. Back in Indiana, like every state in the Midwest, growing up in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, every local town had a local 9. Well, one of the local 9s where I grew up back in the 20s and 30s was a team called Push. Well, fast forward to 70s, and still to this day they exist. The team would every year go to a Major League Baseball game. So I was probably, it was probably 1977-ish around there, was my first game. And it was at the tail end of the Big Red Machine. I got to go to Cincinnati. And I remember still to this day, and this is why I'm a Reds fan to this day, is I remember walking into the old riverfront, holding my dad's hand. I'm probably 4 or 5 years old, around there. And I look out, under the mezzanine, and I see the field. And we're in right field, and I look out and I see Foster on the back of a jersey. And I just, my dad, I probably embarrassed the heck out of him, because I yelled at the top of the lungs, "Hey, George, I've got your baseball card." To me, the world just opened up. They were like idols to me.
Right.
And just a kid. And the first time I ever got to see a game, I probably hadn't even seen a game on TV, maybe once or twice before that, because I was young. And, like I said, 2 channels. So, ever since then, it just exploded into, Hardy the Hat Guy today. And I've had many kinds of collections throughout the years.
That's awesome. I mean, they call it a cathedral for a reason, right? When you go to baseball, because it's just like, you're just in awe of what you're seeing there in it. I that's one of the coolest things, and obviously with COVID, I have to wait to take my daughter, but that's one of the things I cannot wait to take my daughter to her first baseball game, right? Just so she can experience what I experienced as a little kid, watching all these, adults playing a kid's game, right?
Yeah. Well, and I have 4 daughters and a son. And my youngest daughter is one that really loves coming to Reds games with me. And I'd say she's kind of spoiled, because we'll go there when she comes with me. I mean, I'm splurging. We're going to be front row right behind the dugout,
Yeah,
I'm like, you don't know how good you've got it.
Yeah, because you don't know. Like there's this place called Bleachers, that you may not know about.
Right. Well, and nowadays, and I know I'm preaching to the choir with this, but I mean, minor league baseball to me is where it's at. I mean, I obviously am a Major League Baseball fan, but you just cannot beat minor league baseball. And of course, being in Indiana, minor league is as high as it goes, but to me, you don't get any better than the atmosphere of a minor league game.
Yeah. I mean, you got a lot of teams, you have, affiliated teams, you got independent teams, and you got collegiate teams. So, I mean, you got and then out, and I was, we're talking about some of the things you sent me, even, town ball and all that. So there's a lot of baseball that you can see, one that's affordable, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's a good night, and there's the main thing that I keep telling people is like, listen, you have a hard day at work, or you're having a rough day, wherever, and you go to a ball game, and for those 3 hours, you forget everything. Just enjoy the ballpark, because it's entertaining, and it's baseball, right?
The atmosphere, the entertainment value of a minor league game is for people that aren't into minor league as much as major league, or the casual baseball fan that'll go to a major league game every now and then. Oh, they really like it. You need to hit your minor league games. In Indiana here, of course, we have the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, Indianapolis Indians, South Bend Cubs. Then we have some of the affiliate teams, the Gary South Shore Railcats, and on down the line. And actually, an article Indianapolis Indians, Victory Field, and Fort Wayne Tin Caps at Parkview are annually one of the, two of the top minor league baseball stadiums in the country, no matter whose stats you're looking at. And the atmosphere is fantastic. So, I've probably got 30 Indianapolis Indians hats and another 20 or 30 Tin Caps hats, and, South Bend Cubs. So,
I still have to get me. I need a Tin Caps hat, because I don't have one yet. I need to get one of those, because I think it's one of the, their coolest logos. Plus, their Copa logo is hilarious too.
The Manzanas de Luchadores. I think
there you go. Good job. Absolutely.
I liked it so much. I bought 4 of them, and I'm down to 1 because I've given out 3 of them. One of the guests that you've interviewed, I don't know if it's going to air before this or not, but James with Let's Get Two, I sent him the Baseball Across Indiana starter kit, which was a hat from the Tin Caps, the Indians, the Railcats, the South Bend Cubs, the Lafayette Aviators, who actually he came to see.
Yeah.
So, I'm all about, I'll make sure that Tin Caps is checked off your list here soon. So.
Yeah. I actually I'm waiting. It should be either here this week or next week. The Aviators hat. I got me a dad hat Aviator. So I'm very excited for that.
Well, and I like to say, I know you're the dad hat, and I like the dad hats. I like all of them. I like to say I'm an equal opportunity hat collector.
That's right.
I'll take as long as it fits, and a lot of them don't, but I'll take the dad hat, the flat bill. To me, the only hat that's not appropriate is a Cubs hat. So
that's good. I like it. I'm agreeing with you there, because I'm still a little bitter about that 2016 World Series. So yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So let's talk collection, because obviously you have a very large collection, from what I understand. Have you counted them?
A few times. I did after the most recent. I know this is audio, the people can't see it, but what you see behind me is a
lot of hats.
That's just the high schools in Indiana.
Oh my God, seriously? That's just a high school part?
And it's cropped out. You can't see them all, but I have every high school in the state of Indiana in the collection. I just finished that this year. And I've got duplicates of some. So, there's right around 400 high schools with a team in Indiana. And then there's duplicates. I've got some hats from high schools that don't exist anymore. So I've got about 450 or so of high school hats.
Wow.
At least one of every college in Indiana, college summer league. I'm working on American Legion Travel Ball, of course, all the minor league teams, MILB, and then you throw in 50 Cincinnati Reds hats and every other major league team. And we're over 1,000. I know that, probably around 1,200.
Oh my God. You are officially the one person that has the largest hat collection that I know.
Well,
that's amazing.
I thought that too, but then some of these guys, like the guys that run the weekly show on YouTube, at the top of my head, I can't remember their name, but one guy that won the Lids Ultimate Collector, I think it was 2 years ago or something like that, was over 4,000. I'm like, I got some ways to go. But to me anymore, it's not, and I know this is cliche, but it's not really about the quantity at all to me. To be honest with you, I haven't bought an MLB hat in probably 6 months. And that's like, for us hat collectors, that's like worthy of a chip.
I'm like,
that's like an
congratulations.
AA meeting. Yeah. My name's Dan. It's been 6 months since I bought an MLB hat. But I made a vow that I wouldn't buy any until I finished the high school project, because I traveled around and I picked up 90% of those. Well, more than that, probably 95% of them from the coach directly or from the school. And then, there's things that are going to come of that. They're not just going to hang out in my closet in the hat cave, I call it. So,
yeah. So tell me, because I'm very intrigued by this, because you literally travel to every high school. How do you go about it? Like, do you contact them ahead of time? How do you do this?
Yeah, a lot of coordination. I started out in 18 is towards the tail end of the season, spring baseball season in 2018, I believe it was. And I got a couple, and of course I'd already had, I've got, hundreds and hundreds of hats already. And I'm like, what? So somebody I was coaching at the time, and I always put quotes around when I say coach, because I was just the adult on the field, and that's even questionable.
Right.
I never was any good, but we had fun. So somebody told me, you need to start with high school. You need to do the high school thing. So I don't do anything, half tilt, and I go full out with it. So I started kind of slow. And then I talked to another media guy in Indiana, a guy named Greg Rakestraw. He does media. He is the amateur sports media guy in Indiana. And he said, if you're going to do this, you need to get on Twitter. Cause I was not on Twitter.
Yeah. Before that. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I got on Twitter and started posting every time I got a hat, and then it just exploded. It just blew up. I still had to talk to a lot of, reach out to a lot of people, but then people started contacting me. And that's I don't want to say it got easy. I still put around, 10,000 miles just within Indiana on my car getting it done. But I would coordinate trips, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to finish it just by going to games. So I would coordinate a trip. And like Northwest Indiana, we call it, it's the East Chicago, the Indiana side of Chicago. In Indiana, we call that the region. And the region is a very proud area of Indiana. A lot of schools, a lot of great athletes came out of there. So I would plan out, there's like, 50 some schools up there, 30 some. And I would plan it out. I would coordinate them. I'm going to be at your school at this time, and then I'm going to the next school. I coordinate down to, I give myself 15 minutes of flex time going between schools, because a lot of times I'd go there and I'd talk to the AD and the coach, and we'd end up talking for a half an hour, because they're interested in the project. So I had to give myself some flexibility. It's kind of funny on the collections. I talked to there's some schools up in Northern Indiana that no longer exist. And I went there the last year the school existed.
Oh, wow.
And so the AD would talk to me, and they gave me banners for the school. I've got shirts. They would send me shirts.
That's awesome.
Like high school shirts. So, I've got a bunch of shirts and banners. But yeah, to be honest with you, I tell everybody I've got the best hobby in the world. Just the people I've met and the traveling
the experience alone.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. And a kind of a history buff, especially of sports in Indiana. Everybody knows of the legacy of basketball in Indiana, but really getting to know the legacy of baseball in Indiana. Because it's our history. We don't have a Major League Baseball team, but this is a baseball state. We are rich in history. And the baseball industry still to this day is strong. So, the hats really have been an avenue to really expose me to that. And I'm, going to run with it a little bit going forward too.
Yeah, absolutely. You should. It's amazing what you're doing, right? Because you're keeping history alive. Think about that, right? Yep. Like you say, you're a history buff. So you are literally a historian of the sport for the state of Indiana.
Well, and it's, I don't want to oversell us, but, there are a bunch of stories like, you could look up the Fort Wayne Kikiangas sometime. Kikiangas. Yes. Fort Wayne Kikiangas was just a quick story here for you, just to kind of sell it.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Fort Wayne is another area. It's over towards you. It's right near Ohio on the northeast side of Indiana, and a great history in every aspect in that community. And of course, it's where the Tin Caps are. Back in 1872, I believe, give or take a few years, I'm off there. The American Association was formed, which was the first league. If you look at MLB from a genealogy standpoint, so to speak, American Association formed, eventually came into modern day Major League Baseball. So it was the first league that was in that lineage of Major League Baseball. And the first game in that league was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, with the Fort Wayne Kiki-Ongas, and they played Cleveland. I kid you not. And
that's amazing.
So the first game of professional baseball in the league that led to eventually American League or Major League Baseball was in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And that's just kind of, one tidbit of history
that's awesome.
Nobody will know about that has came from hats.
That's what I'm saying right there. Like we're collectors. Absolutely. But the history behind the collection is what really makes it worth the whole, the whole experience, right? Because you're just, you literally just taught me something today, just now. Like I didn't even know that.
And I believe it was the Cleveland Spiders, not the Defenders.
Yeah. Oh God, I love that name. I love the Spiders. I wish it, the color, the Guardians. Anyways,
or Guardians,
could be whatever name as long as whatever. So you're done with the high school now, right?
Well, there's new schools coming out. Of course, the two schools that in Hammond, Indiana, that are merging. There's going to be a new school. So next year I got to get that hat. There's a school Union, and there's two Union high schools in Indiana, one over towards Ohio, actually, that started this year with JV baseball. Next year they have varsity. So I got to get that hat. There's always going to be a new school. And I've got coaches already contacting me. Hey, we're getting a new hat this year. Where can I send it?
That's awesome. And that's pretty cool because you're just now, they're contacting you like, hey, just so you know, here, it's coming.
Yeah. Well, and I really owe these coaches a lot. I've got to meet so many of them. We're going to do some things with it going forward next year, but they know they're not just hanging out in my closet, that I'm going to use them to promote amateur baseball in Indiana. Cause not just Indiana, but anywhere, baseball is it's not football. It doesn't get the recognition football does. And definitely within Indiana, it's not basketball, because Indiana is, first and foremost, historically anyway, a basketball state. So it doesn't get the coverage of some of the bigger sports. And I'm not angry at that. That's, just the nature of the sport. But there's some ways things that we're going to do to promote it going forward. So, the coaches are, they're all on board with this as well. So let's talk about that because, I personally want to know more about it. So how is it, is it in 2022 that you're going to be doing a new project, right? Yep.
So tell me about that.
Well, it's, and I like to say up front too, it's non-commercial. And the reason I say that is a lot of the hats like that you see behind me were donated. Once this project really got going, the coaches said, hey, let me donate one of our hats to you. And I always offered to pay and everything like that. But so as part of that giving back, I don't want anybody to think that I'm profiting off of these hats that have been donated to me, but we're going to start a weekly show called This Week in Baseball Across Indiana. And me and a guy named Steve Craw, who runs a blog. He's when I think of him, if you think of the old Brooklyn sports writer, just that old 1950s sports writer, that's covering the beat every day. He's kind of that guy for baseball in Indiana. Then we got a guy named Jeff Luzader. We call him Sweet Lou out of Lafayette. And he's kind of an old school guy like me too, just a baseball nerd. So the three of us are going to get together. We're going to put on a weekly show This Week in Baseball Across Indiana. Between the three of us, we have a lot of contacts. So we're going to have some big names on there.
That's pretty awesome.
A lot of people, and we're just going to cover the baseball scene in Indiana from the Indianapolis Indians in AAA all the way down to the 1A local high school that'll, can barely get 5 people in their stadium. So, we're going to cover it all.
That, you know what, you got to let me know, because I'm very intrigued by this, because this is cool. Because I mean, this is why, and I was talking to, having a discussion with James about this, is that the beauty of what we do is like my podcast, his show, your show coming up, and Josh Durham, his show, is like it highlights minor league baseball and amateur baseball, but we all do it in a different way. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't put it any other way. My wife tells me that I say that a lot. Yeah, it is awesome. And that's crazy good.
Well, if you look at amateur baseball in general, from, high school fans like me all the way up to the minor league scene, it's full of people like you, like James with Let's Get To, like the personality of Eric the Peanut Guy. And, all over the state, all the people, the ballpark hunters, all over the country, there is a great fan generated content base that, on Twitter and everywhere else, guys doing it like you, that really makes for a out of the box entertainment. It's not just a bunch of people that are Joe Buck, boring everybody with stats. It's behind the scenes, it's the dad hat and everything else. And I love every part of it.
Right. And I'm, listen, there's a place for analytics, and there's a place for all of that. That's great. Right. I am not discounting any of it.
Absolutely.
Right. But what we need to remember also is that there is the entertainment side, there is the human side of sports, right? Because, I'm sure you're also going to be highlighting town ball as well in your show, right? And there's a lot of cool stories behind that, So I think I saw a documentary, whole town ball, I think it was called, a few years ago. It was talking the same thing. So, I mean, I love that, you guys are highlighting the human side of sports across your state. That's great. Yep. I love it.
And on as far as the aspect of covering every amateur level, actually my hat collection, some of the most unique hats I have include the Circle City Wiffle Ball. Circle City Wiffle Ball is a wiffle ball league on the south side of Indianapolis, and their stadium, for I think it was 2 years in a row, won the National Wiffle Ball Association. It's a thing, and it's a big deal.
Oh my God. Hold on a second. I love wiffle ball.
It is. Oh my gosh. For you people that do the slow pitch softball thing, which I like that too, but this wiffle ball thing is nuts. I mean, I love it. They won the National Wiffle Ball Association Field of the Year. This guy built a field of dreams in his backyard wiffle ball field. I'm talking wood fence, lights, cameras.
Are you serious?
It is crazy. If you look up Circle City Wiffle Ball, you'll see there, and it's kind of crazy because it's in the subdivision, and you drive in, you feel like you're driving in someone's driveway, but then you go around the back, and then it just opens up, and you can almost hear the in the background, because it's just it's like every kid's dream, or big 50-year-old kid like me that wants that backyard. I mean, it's crazy. And they had the tournament recently, and it was covered by a local media station. I mean, so it's so things like that. If they're that passionate about it, I'm in. I want your hat.
Yeah, I want a dad hat from them.
Right.
That's crazy. Awesome.
Yeah.
A whole stadium just for wiffle ball.
Yes. And I tell you what, the level of play, I could talk about this forever. One of the games I went and shot some video and things for him last year. It might've been a year and a half ago, but the pitcher that I was watching, he was a senior at University of Indianapolis. And it was 2020 because he was pitching for them because their season got canceled in 2020. And they're throwing from, I think it's like little league distance. It's only like 60 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's throwing 90 miles per hour. And the ball curves like a Scherzer.
Yeah, because of the holes in the wiffle ball on the one side. Yeah.
And he's throwing 90. I mean, it's just nuts. I couldn't hit it with a tennis racket, So I mean, as far as entertainment value, I mean, that's, if it's got a stick and a ball, I'm in, So
I got to look this up. I'm looking this up as soon as we're done tonight, because I definitely want to see this stadium. That's awesome.
So, as a matter of fact, in Indiana, here's another piece of tidbit of trivia for you. A guy played in 2 leagues. One of them is in Northwest Indiana, and then 3 hours from there, just south of Indy, is another big wiffle ball league. He played in both of them. That guy, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, got the National Wiffle Ball Player of the Year 2 years in a row. So yeah, Indiana's wiffle ball scene's a big deal.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they have their own hats and their own uniforms and all of that, right?
I reached out to them. Yeah, there's so every team that's got a hat, I'm telling them, coming up years, I want your hat. And so I think the word's out now that if you're a baseball or baseball related team in Indiana, they're going to be getting a call from you. Got to make sure you get a hold of Hardy the Hat Guy if he hasn't already got a hold of you.
Right. Like if you have not gotten a call, you will be getting one in no time. Don't you worry.
Right. I had to draw the line somewhere because, first of all, with I'll never get every travel ball team because travel ball teams change every year. But there are some franchises that are established. So, I've got about 15 to 20 of those. American Legion teams is one of the big Actually, I've got a documentary coming out. I try to pick one project every year for a documentary on baseball history in Indiana. And this year I'm working on one on American Legion baseball.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Because I just think it's a great quality, great formula because it takes the best of local ball and travel ball into one. Because it is travel ball, but it's local kids. So, so very, that's kind of a soapbox of mine. I could talk about that for a while, but
Please
of course
do.
I'm going to get all those hats as well. So
that's wow. So so every year you pick a different project, right? You said,
yep.
Are there all like documentaries or what do you
documentary style? Now, like last year, 2020, I told all the people I interviewed with this, 2020 kind of made this happen, allowed this to happen because some of the people I talked to, I wouldn't be able to talk to if it was, if they had a season. But last year I looked at non-coaching, non-playing careers in baseball. So I talked to the marketing department with the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. I talked to the groundskeeper for the Indianapolis Indians. I talked to the president of the South Bend Cubs. Then I talked to media personalities, so it was probably a 4-part series. And I've done some short ones in the past, but I'm those. And then this year I'm starting the American Legion one that I've got some lined up in the future as well, because there's a lot to talk about.
That's crazy. And then you're going to be releasing them eventually, on your own channel or.
It'll probably all come through. I've got YouTube Hardy the Hat Guy, Facebook Hardy the Hat Guy, Twitter, Instagram, with 4 daughters in high school right now. And yes, I said that correctly.
Oh my God.
So I don't think I'm cool enough to go on TikTok, but I am, like I tell, I'm not real funny and not real good looking, but my hat collection is pretty cool. So I don't know if that's cool enough to go on TikTok or not, but
hey, well, at least you got the Twitter and you got the YouTube down, right? So and the Facebook. Yep. So there you go, my friend.
And I do a little bit on Instagram too. So
there you go. I love it. That's crazy. Over 1,200. That's crazy. I'm just flabbergasted at the fact that you have that many. I'm so I don't even feel like I should be in the same presence as you right now. I only have like 135 of them.
I was showing, I call my closet the hat cave, because I've had to adjust it quite a few times over the years to accommodate all of them. But I was showing someone the other day, and there's like 3 rows at the bottom. They go 12 to 20 deep, depending on what kind of hat it is. And they're looking at the bottom 3 rows, and there's 100 hats in there. And they're like, what? Because I've got them separated and categorized. I'm very OCD about it, and even color coordinated. I know it's pretty bad, really. But those bottom 3 rows, they're like, well, what are those? How many's in it? I said about 100 or so. And like, what category of hat is that? I'm like, well, that's my lawn mowing collection. So I've got, about 100 hats that I just used for the honeydew list, when I'm working outside.
We all have one of those that we use we have at least one that we use to do chores outside and everything. Yes, it's true.
3 rows of them.
Oh my God. So you have a whole room just specifically for your hats. How is this all, set up?
It's modified over the years.
Mhm.
I don't have the hat in the background to show you, but it's, I've got, it's even hard to explain, but it's a walk-in. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically a walk-in closet that I've converted into just hats.
Mhm.
And, I don't have, I'm looking for the next project. All my collections are based on a project. I'll pick a theme, like, I have the high school theme. The high school hats, actually, when they started in 2018, were supposed to be donated at the end to the Indiana Baseball Hall of Fame, which is down in southern Indiana, in a town called Jasper. And Ray Howard, the guy who runs the Indiana Baseball Hall of Fame, eventually told me, a few months into it, he's like, Dan, I looked again and I don't think I got room for 400 hats. So after 2018, the summer of 2018, I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything this summer. Let's get a hold of the college coaches. So I started and finished every college in Indiana, picking them up firsthand. These aren't, I'm not buying them from Lids or Fanatics or anything like that. I picked them up
You went to
firsthand
the university.
to the universities and picked them up, directly from the coaches or the athletic department or someone like that. So I got 2 from every college in Indiana. One went to the Indiana Baseball Hall of Fame, and then I've got the other because I have a traveling display that I take all over the state called Baseball Across Indiana. And it has about 600-700 hats, and it's every high school in Indiana, every college in Indiana, college summer league, minor league, and I set it up. Matter of fact, I was at the Aviators game a few months ago with James Christopher. Let's Get To, and I had it set up there as well.
Oh, wait. You have a traveling museum with you, pretty much.
It's a traveling display. And I'll tell you, on my YouTube channel, because I looked for a full year on how to set up a hat rack that'll hold 1,000 hats and still get it to fold up and be portable enough that I can transport it and set it up quickly and then pack it up. And I kid you not, that you can look it up on YouTube.
I will.
Hardy the Hat Guy hat rack. I think it's called Portable Hat Rack Display or something like that. And I described how I eventually designed it. And it's basically if you think of those wireframe closet shelving systems.
Yeah.
Well, and you can see it. The people listening to this can't, but behind me, it's the end result is they're 2 foot wide by 8 foot tall. And I string together like 20 of them, depending anywhere from as many as I want because it's portable. And so it'll hold, each 2 foot section will hold 48 hats, and then you string them together.
And the way I'm looking at it right now, the way you have it display is like if you were to go into a lid store,
yeah,
but on steroids.
Well, here's the OCD part of that picture that the people listening to this can't see it, but one thing you'll notice are all the bills are lined up.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm very meticulously
along
done,
with the color coordination. And I'll tell you, I don't work for them. I don't get any feedback from it, but I use a clip that's from it's called and man, it's leaving me as I think about it. I'll think about it in a second, but I got a specialty clip that I put the hats on, and then I hang the hats on the display. And so I've got all not only color coded, but all of the flat bills are together so that the lines are straight. And then I've got all the bent rims, all the dad hats above that, so that everything's lined up.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is a very impressive display that you have going on right there, my friend. I have some work to do is what I'm going to say now.
And I got a lot of work to do. That all folds up and fits in my car. Yes. That's I don't I don't have to have a trailer. It all folds up. 1,000 hat portable hat display, hats plus the display all fits in my car. Now I can't see out of any of the windows but the front one and the driver's side, but it still fits in my car.
But who cares at that point? That's impressive. That is impressive. So that's I mean I'm looking at these hats right now, and then there's some it's funny because some of them look like, I think I see one that looks like the Ohio State hat.
Oh yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
Well, there's a lot of go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say a couple of the neat things is there are two hats up there that a high school teams in Indiana, if there are any people affiliated with a high school baseball team, you should do this. There are two schools in Indiana that did a throwback hat for their high school team, which is
what?
Yes. Sign me up, take my wallet. A high school team doing a throwback hat. I'm all in. One of them, and this is, if people ask me what my favorite hat is, of course,
which I was going to ask you. Yeah.
My stock answer is the next one.
That's a really good answer.
There is a school here in Indiana, and I'm going to have to look on Twitter here real quick. It's the you're putting me on the spot. This is great live TV.
Love it.
I can't think of the name of it. It's going to think of me. That's why I do everything on a computer, because my memory's horrible. And the coach is probably going to listen to this. He's like, I can't believe you couldn't remember a name. But they did a throwback hat of the camels. So I've got a hat with a purple camel on it as the logo, because that was their logo in 1924. And he did a throwback hat, and they made a lot of money off of it as a fundraiser. And there's another one called the Berries, just a strawberry as their logo, and they made a lot of money off of it. So I mean, it's a great fundraising.
Yeah, and it goes right back into the team. So I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Why not?
Yes.
Throwback high school hats.
Yes,
that's crazy good.
Yes,
why not? Throwback. I'm just like, you just threw me off by saying throwback. I was going to ask you, hey, what was your favorite hat? You already, the next one. Absolutely. Right. That's great. And let me ask you, and not to go to the negative side, but like, have you ever experienced any pushback when you are collecting, or asking for the hat? Has anybody said, no, we're good, or anything like that?
Yeah, and of course I'm not going to mention any names, but there is one college. I'll tell you this story. There's one college in Indiana, and I won't say who it is, but I'll tell you who it's not. It's not one of the big colleges. It's not Notre Dame. It's not IU. It's not Purdue. It's not Ball State. It's not Butler. Those schools, ironically, it was very easy to work with them, and some of those were donated too, but I hesitate in saying that because I don't want people thinking they can call a college and ask for
right. And all of a sudden they think that they can just call. Yes, that's not how that goes.
Especially the Notre Dames and the IUs, they're going to hang up on you if you call them.
Like, bye, see you later. Right. Yeah,
but
you can go to a lit store or a school store. Exactly.
So, and some of them, I got official on-field hats that aren't sold. But there was one college that I tell them, I'm not asking for anything free. I will pay for it. The hats are going to the Indiana Baseball Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. This is not me just wanting a free hat. Never got any response. Called them, their athletic office, and they hung up on me.
What?
Yeah. And so, I mean, really a hard runaround. But at the end of the day, I knew a high school coach that was in that area. It was a nearby high school, mm-hmm. and he knew the college coach, so he kind of backdoored in and got me one. But yeah, there was one it was difficult. But other than that, to be honest with you, as you can imagine, it's never been done. Matter of fact, I don't know of any other states where it has been done.
Yeah, I can't think of anything right now.
I'm definitely not saying that to pat myself on the back or anything like that. It's just
you should.
Well, it's so unique that the coaches were totally on board with it. And it's kind of funny that the head coach of IU, Jeff Mercer, just a great coach, and we're lucky to have him and hope we can keep him. But I met him in a high school game, and I said, hey, I'm just introducing myself. I'm already that guy. I'm heading your way, because once I do this high school, I'm doing colleges next. He's like, all right, whatever, kid, scram.
Yeah.
Then he heard about it, and he was on board. Well, at the state finals recently, where I had my whole high school collection on display, he was walking by, and I didn't want to bother him. He was standing in front of me the whole game, but I didn't want to bother him. But after the game was over, I said, hey, Coach, Hardy the Hat Guy. He goes, oh, yeah. I'm like, oh, hold on. Can you say that again? And I can record it so I can show my wife and make her think I'm a big deal, because you knew who I was, but because I'm not. But to answer your question, it's, they were really on board with it. And, it's just been a blast. And Shelbyville, I'm going to throw that out there real quick. Shelbyville Camels. That was that hat.
Nice. See, you came back with it. Love it.
That I couldn't think of. Shelbyville Camels. Yes. From 1924. So
that's crazy.
Well, real quick, I'll tell you this real quick.
No, please do.
talking about these hats is like talking about my kids. Like the problem's not getting me what to talk about. It's getting me to shut up. But no, I lost track of what I was going to say. The high school hats, is that okay. When I finished the high school collection, we were talking about the uniqueness of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I posted the picture of the completed high school collection from the state of Indiana, and it blew up. And people all over the country were messaging me, "How did you do it? I want to do this in my state." You know, and a guy from Connecticut got a hold of me and was like, "Yeah, I want to do it in my state." I'm like, "How many schools you got?" It's like 40. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I did that in a weekend." And like, you know, that Connecticut will be easy. Yeah. But then a guy from Texas got a hold of me, and man,
that's a big state.
They probably got 3,000 schools. I'm like, buddy, I don't know what to tell you. Good luck. It took me 3 years with 400 schools. So, you know, I don't know what to tell you.
God.
But I had people from all over the country saying, I want to do this in my state. And I encourage, because this is a collector's show you have here. If there are any collectors listening to this, I tell you, I've got more MLB hats. I've forgotten what hats I have. So many. I've never had more fun. You will never have more fun in a collection than when you can do it with something tied to your state, your local, I agree. A theme like what you have with the dad hats.
Yep.
A theme really brings it home. And because Indiana, it's my state, I can't say enough how fun it's been from a collection standpoint. Just the people, going back to where we started, the people I've met,
the experiences,
and the experiences it's hard to. So if there are any collectors out there, hat collectors, get started. There's no template. Get a hold of me. I'll help you out. But get started.
It doesn't even have to be hat. Like, I mean, you can do, pennants, or you can do pins, or whatever it is that you're into, right? Or start reaching out to people. I mean, when I started this, and, obviously I started it on Twitter, but the amount of support that I have gotten so far from this has been outstanding. Not a single person has said, nope, I don't want nothing to do with it. Everybody's like, yep, absolutely, I'll be honored to do it. Why? Because it's fun. And then we get to talk about the things that we like to do as collectors, right?
Yes.
A lot of, and one of the episodes that I'm going to be releasing soon, a gentleman named Mike, he has a great story about him and his, but watching a movie, and, I don't want to give the whole thing because it's a great one, but
right.
It's the stories behind a collection, not just a collecting, not the actual item. Sometimes it's what's the story behind it. And I think it's amazing.
And it's like what you're doing. Matter of fact, I will quote a tweet that you put online today where it said, ask yourself if what you are doing today is getting you closer to where you want to be tomorrow. And
I did. Yeah, right.
Yep, it nailed it. And, the community of just good people like yourself doing what you're doing is, there's so much stuff going on in 2020 and even carrying over into 2021, like you've talked about with other people on your show, is there's so much negativity and so much, of this and that going on. Not everybody in the world is going to be interested in hat collectors like us, but there are, what we found, you get on Twitter, you'll see it. I mean, we are not alone.
Oh no, absolutely not.
I think there's so many people that I've heard that could say the same story. You have this passion for this kind of unique collecting thing you're doing. Then you get on Twitter and you're like, oh my gosh, there are so many people that are doing this.
I'm not alone.
Right, exactly.
And like I said, it's like, listen, I collect dad hats. You collect, hats from your state of Indiana, right? And it's very specific to what you and me do. But there's so many other things like, bobbleheads and, pennants and whatever it is that you're collecting. Yep. If it's making you happy and if you have a good experience about it, go for it, man. We're all here to help out.
Like what you said too. I don't care what you're collecting. I really enjoy the story behind it to why. That's why I love your show. And I love hearing, Eric talking about his dad. Your guest last week talk about his, the dad involved in it. So, I mean, the stories behind it, to me, I don't care if you collect chess pieces. To me, it's interesting to why.
Right, exactly. And I think that's what we all do it in the end. That's what we all do it. Before I get to the, the famous, not so famous questions here, you got this project. Anything else you have coming up, as far as any projects, that you have in the works right now?
Well, we're working on the show, This Week in Baseball Across Indiana. I've started reaching out to people already for guests. And matter of fact, one of the people I really wanted on was because one of the big, I'm not associated with them, but one of the organizations that I try to promote is the Indiana High School Baseball Coaches Association. So I reached out to a guy named Ryan Brownlee, who runs the American Baseball Coaches Association, the ABCA podcast, which, they get thousands of listeners every week.
Right.
So I reached out to him, told him what we're doing, and we're going to have him on the show.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're excited about it. And this Steve Craw that I told you about earlier in the show, he has literally, if they have anything to do with baseball in Indiana, he's interviewed them. Everything from the pros, the Tucker Barnharts and everybody all the way down to hat collectors. He interviewed me. That's how I met him like 2.5 years ago. He said, this hat collector's got this big project he's going to do. And that's how I met. And we've been great friends ever since. So, we're working into that. And then, it's always about the next hat. It's always what's next.
It really is, isn't it?
Yep.
It's what, like you said, and I'm going to go with it now is, what's your favorite hat? The next one.
The next one.
Because you're right. It really is.
The next handshake.
Right. Absolutely. I absolutely love it. All right. So I was going to ask you, the first question was going to be Pepsi or Coke, but I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead that you would guess I'm going to guess it's a Coke, right?
Yep. There's an Indiana story behind that too. One of the famous Coke bottles from back in the day. This is a kind of a obscure fact, but getting into my head of useless information. One of the Coke bottles was designed by a guy named Root, who is from Indiana. And there's a Root Hall in Indiana State. That's where that's from. So yeah, I got to go with Coke, but I like it better too.
There you go. You go to the ballpark. What is the snack of choice, my friend?
Well, I tell you, I'm not a drinker, but if I'm on a major league game, it's a dog and a beer. So that's just how it is, especially in Cincinnati. They got the spicy sausage and everything like that. So, it's got to be a hot dog for sure.
My man, I knew I liked you. Okay, so beach or mountain?
Well, that's kind of a long story too. Back in 95 or something like that, I was finishing up college. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to move somewhere. I'm young. I'm single. I'm going to start out. So I looked into moving to Colorado or Florida, and I wanted to go to Colorado because I grew up snow skiing and everything like that. But I ended up, I had jobs waiting for me in Florida, so I went to Florida. So I'm kind of I guess you could say it's up in the air, but being
50-50 right now.
Yeah, I've got 4 girls in high school right now, and I'm not winning that boat. If I wanted to go to Colorado, they're like, nope, we're going to Florida.
Right? No, yeah, you're losing that one right off the bat.
Exactly.
Oh my God, 4 girls in high school. God bless you, my friend.
Yes. Yes.
Spring, summer, fall, or winter?
Well, I love fall, but it's too short. Campfires in the fall.
True.
Skiing in the winter, until after Christmas. Once Christmas is over, I don't want the snow anymore.
Neither do I.
Snow's awesome until Christmas. After Christmas, snow, you're in my way.
Get out, please.
Of course, you got spring training, but campfires in fall, spring training in spring, summer. I'll be inside, so we can skip it.
That sounds good. And you know what? Fall, you can, like I'd say I'm a hoodie and a shorts kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
Yep.
All right. Pancakes or waffles?
Ooh, see, I was thinking about that question because that's always a tough one. I like pancakes, but you give me a waffle and you load it up. I mean, you put chocolate on it, strawberries on it. You can put anything you want. I'll put hot sauce on it.
Yep.
So I got to go with waffles, and all the accoutrements.
So if you, but I asked this question also to Paul Caputa, right? Baseball and ice cream. He said, yeah, I'll take waffle because you can put ice cream on it. So,
Right.
yeah. You, like
Exactly.
you said, you can put anything you want on a waffle.
What, a pancake is a pancake, but a waffle is a canvas that you
It really is.
So,
it's a vanilla canvas, and you can make it whatever you want it to be.
Exactly.
I absolutely love it. All right. Halloween or 4th of July?
Whew. Well, when I was younger, it would definitely be Halloween. Now I think 4th of July, because baseball's in full gear, so I would have to go with 4th of July.
It's a great time.
Yeah.
Like you said, baseball, right? Independence Day and some good barbecuing. That's all I'm saying.
It's my time to cook.
That's right. Listen, nobody touches the grill but me.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
Early bird or night owl?
Well, again, in my younger days, it would be a different answer, but now I'm an early bird. I go to bed with the retirement folks anymore, and I'm up at 5 a.m.
Yep, same here. Yep, same here. Like, listen, by 10:30, I was like, listen, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah, going back to those, 4 kids in high school right now. Morning, that's my time.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
right. Listen, it's my quiet time.
Exactly.
I do whatever I want. Everybody's sleeping in the house.
Exactly.
And nobody bothers me.
Yep, exactly.
We here in my house is my wife likes to stay up at night. She reads and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sleeping, and then in the mornings, everybody's sleeping. It's quiet. I take the dog outside, and then I do whatever I need to do.
Well, and we're pet people too. We have. I tell you, we can go through the inventory of pets here. I'm like Hardy the pet guy. I mean, we've got 5 cats, 2 dogs, a bearded dragon, a duck, and 5 chickens.
Oh my God.
And no, we're not farmers. I live in town. You can have chickens though in town.
That's awesome. 5 chickens. That's crazy. Yep. I love it. Theme park or water park?
Well, as a kid, definitely theme park, but now my gut can't handle roller coasters.
Oh, I'm with you.
Again, I got to bring up the 4 girls in high school right now.
You're going to lose the battle.
Yeah, I'm going to lose the battle. We're going to a water park. So, and I'm over in the dad lawn chair, just hanging out.
Leave me in the back. I'm just going to be here, guys.
I'm scrolling through lids, and they're out having fun.
Right, exactly. And that's our fun, right?
Exactly.
We're hanging out, looking up, because that's what I do.
Yep.
I spend my time a lot of times on the internet looking for hats and going to different websites. I'm with you there, my friend. All right. Cook a meal or clean up after?
Well, I do like to cook, and 4th of July, I've got that roped off. That's mine.
Right.
But, I'm a meat and potatoes guy, but my wife and kids are not, and my wife's a good cook. So, I'm a cleanup guy, and I'm proud of it because I like to cook. Doesn't mean I'm good. My wife is.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we got to do our part, in the kitchen. That's all I got to say.
That's right.
All right. And then, deep dish, right? Or, Chicago style or New York style.
This one's easy. I've been listening. I studied up on these questions. I listen to you every week, and I am definitely a New York style guy. Right across where I work downtown Indianapolis, right on the circle in the heart of Indianapolis, and I overlook right outside is a place called Giorgio's Pizza, and they sell it by the slice, and it's a big, wide New York slice. You got to fold up to eat.
That's what I'm talking about.
New York slice every minute.
My man, love it. I love it. Well, I want to thank you because this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for coming on this podcast. Where can people find you?
Anywhere where there's hats. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. It's Hardy the Hat Guy, soon to be Baseball Across Indiana. It's not there yet. And I'll tell you just real quick, I want to thank you for what you're doing. I would tell you, like I was saying, that community of fans doing their own thing, and you're one of them, and I absolutely love it. So this is, and I
appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it every
week.
I'll be watching because I'm definitely going to be looking forward to Baseball Across Indiana. I think that's great. Love it. And I got to get to Indiana to watch a baseball game, whether it's at the Indians or at the Tin Caps for sure.
Yep, I'll tell you, those two great fields, and like already, I'm preaching to the choir here. Minor league baseball, I can't say it enough. It is
absolutely. I love, yeah.
For a family, or just like me, I will get on StubHub and buy a $5 ticket to the Indianapolis Indians and just head there after work or sit in the lawn. So, I mean, minor league baseball games is just for entertainment value. It's just, you can't beat it.
You can't beat it. And if you like you say, you got a lot of kids and all that. Sometimes, you go to a major league game or, NFL or NBA, whatever, right? Those major sports, it can get expensive.
Well, you compare it real quick, and you compare it. Let's look at just entertainment, though. Sorry, you got me going here. My ADD's kicking in. But you compare like a family my size, or even a family of three. You go
which is my family, yeah.
Yeah. You go to the movies, you're spending, $10, $15 a ticket, or 20 or whatever.
Well, however it is now.
Yeah. And then, you haven't bought the popcorn and Coke
or the drinks or anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Before long, you got a second mortgage on the house. A minor league baseball game, on the other hand, you can take the whole family there, and you're talking, you're not just staring at another screen.
Exactly.
So, but no, I could talk all day on the value of entertainment for minor league baseball, but baseball period.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right, my friend. Again, thank you so much. We'll, like as always, we'll keep interacting on the social media sites.
On the interwebs.
That's right. All right, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to thank Dan for coming on the podcast and also allowing me to go ahead and release the video version on my YouTube channel. Make sure you guys give him a follow, okay? He's on Instagram, on Twitter, and he also has a YouTube channel, okay? He's going to be releasing his Baseball Across Indiana soon. If I find out anything, I'll also make sure that I'll put it on my Twitter account, so that way you guys can go ahead and make sure that you follow it. All right? Before I go, a couple of things. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, so that way you guys are always aware when a new video pops up. And then also, if you're only interested in the audio version of the podcast, I'm on podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, I'm on Spotify, Google. So make sure you hit the subscribe, and then always make sure that you give it 5 stars, so that way we go up on the ranking and more people are able to enjoy it. All right? Until then, keep on grinding and always make sure to support the minor leagues. All right, guys. See ya.